I want to get your opinion on this because I know you're not in this world. So there's this podcaster named Aubrey Marcus. He started as Joe Rogan's kind of partner in a supplement, and then basically kind of became this spiritual guru.
So bro culture?
Bro culture, bro spirituality, that kind of thing. Basically, this guy is known as a polyamorous guy. He had a wife named Whitney. When he was with Whitney, he met this woman, Vailana. Vailana said, I'm not interested in your polyamory. And then eventually he went to Vailana when she was available and was like, I want to be with you, and I just want to be with you.
Okay.
But the whole entire time, they have basically not been in a monogamous relationship. They have had different partners and brought people into their relationship. And this is just what it is.
Okay, so
but they are the darlings. Like, they're kind of the prom king and queen of the self-development space, where people look up to them for the ideal relationship.
All right.
So they have so many podcasts about their sacred union and preparing for divine love. And so this podcast, where he is basically saying that there is now a third person in their relationship that they have brought in, who is a woman named Alana, who basically looks like a younger version of his wife, is now going to be living with them because he had a vision that Isis told him in a temple in Egypt.
Like the goddess.
Like the goddess Isis told him.
Not Isis, the people who kill other people. No, not them.
No.
Oh, that would be more interesting. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. I'm glad that you clarified that. It's important. But basically, that he needs to impregnate both of these women. And then he brought that into their relationship. Now, the thing that I've been having a problem with, and that I have a problem with a lot of these kind of podcasters and these psychonauts, is that they're getting all of these divine interventions through their, basically psychedelic fueled ceremonies.
I have a question. So, I think we talked about this before, but how come the super incredible visions of enlightenment only include like hot women and not Martha from Bad Bed and Beyond or whatever it's called? So I think that's like the first red flag, like, yeah, whatever. And the other question, I have a question actually, like, they are a couple running a podcast, or is it him? And she just joins. It's his podcast. So
she's become famous.
Who's his audience?
His audience is mainly spiritual people just like him.
But like gender-wise?
I would say it skews more towards men, but
sure.
Yeah.
All right.
So he has made himself to be like the divine masculine. That is like his whole thing. And how can he be more that? But getting back to it, the reason why I have a problem with this is there's a period in the podcast, and they have this rabbi guy who is basically, I guess, their therapist that has been going through all of this, where they talk about this woman, Alana, like she is an object. And they talk about her as if she has purity.
She's an object.
Yeah. Like she's an object that
is she there while this is going on? She's just like listening.
She's listening, she's commenting, she has her own feelings about all of this. But the thing that's hard is right before that, basically, Vailana is really like talking about how she is like, this is breaking her heart. This is kind of her worst nightmare. That basically she entered a relationship with Aubrey, hoping that he would like at some point choose her completely and totally. And now, they've had all this sexual exploration. It's been good for her. It's whatever it is. It's like taken, her to a new level of freedom. But now this new thing that has brought in is like bringing in her worst fear. So for me, watching her, she feels like the person who is actually suffering the most. Like Aubrey doesn't feel like he's suffering at all. Like he's whatever. And then Alana, feels like she's like the new shiny thing
Yeah.
And I don't want to take away from Alana and her whatever. But
no, she's she's not.
She has this huge opportunity to be part of this power couple.
Yeah.
And be exposed to all of these new things. It kind of sounds like they're floating her life right now.
Yeah.
She was like a model who's finishing things up, and they've basically been taking her around the world with them.
Yeah.
And doing these psychedelic experiences. And she has been offering her incredible energy and purity to.
Okay. What does purity mean for them? This is very interesting.
I know. Well, so I'm projecting. I just want to like full on say that.
I mean, how can you not?
For me, this struck so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think why this is important for us to talk about is Mylana is in midlife. She is a woman who is like 37, 38.
Mm-hmm.
She has been with him since she was about.
Do they have kids?
30. They don't have kids.
Okay.
And when he's talking about the purity of this other woman, he talks about the scene in Braveheart where someone comes and takes out like the virginal, and then we're going to go fight for that.
I got the feeling it was about that.
Yeah. Okay. So the feeling is like this woman has a purity that my wife no longer has. That's how I feel watching it.
Yeah, because you're not the target audience.
No.
So he's okay. The way you're explaining this, and you're probably projecting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's obvious and normal by the way.
As a 46-year-old woman,
of course,
I feel like this. Yes.
But like from where I see it is like he is enabling with his narrative his audience to do the same. Like, it's okay to desire and have desires for younger, hotter women.
Yes.
More pure in a sense, because pure is always associated like with virginity and things like that, and touched, like mind, possession, object.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about, the virgin whore, okay?
Oh, yeah.
We start the podcast with him basically saying, and her, and Vailana basically talking about their relationship.
Yes.
Where it's very sexual exploratory.
Fantastic.
She's had lovers. He's had lovers. It's very much more in kind of, I would say, the whore space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not judging her.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's what's painted. And then when he's talking about Alana, he says, the amount of times that he says purity makes my skin crawl, but she's very much the virginal. So it's like he's got both of these archetypes with him. And to me, it just like, it really rubs me the wrong way, because it's like this woman who went from her purity to now her impurity. This woman who was like demanding that I would be monogamous, and then we did not. We were monogamous the whole entire time.
Yeah.
And has slept with my friend who was my ball. Like, he was like one of my guys that I played ball with. Like, they had their relationship, but he didn't make it like it was actually anything that was sacred.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, she has other lovers. She actually had to come back in and be like, actually, that was a really deep experience for me. So there's just kind of this painting of like, this woman of this age is like this. And then you've got this pure woman who is just bringing her light and her purity into our relationship.
Yeah.
And that's really hard for me to stomach.
Well, the way I see it is, the way you explain this is, I wouldn't say Ilana is her name, the young one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wouldn't say she's been groomed, or she's a victim, because maybe she has her own agenda, like you said, like she just wants to be part of this power couple and just get famous, have a career, whatever she wants to do, or she really believes that she deserves and wants that kind of love, whatever it is. So, I lost my train of thought. What was I about to say? Keep going. It'll come to.
So, anyways, the reason why this is striking me is because in NLP, I don't know, do you know what neuro-linguistic programming is? You say a word over and over again.
That's what I wanted to say.
Purity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like she's playing a role.
She's playing a role.
And that's it. So both sides of the story, like both interpretations of the story, like she could be groomed and poor little girl, like she, went into something that she wasn't expecting, blah, blah, blah. Or she knows what she's doing, but she is performing a role. Like she's this younger version, like of purity and like innocence and, but obviously she's not.
Yeah. I mean, he talks about the fact that she likes to cuddle like a monkey. Like there's a certain monkey, I don't know, it wasn't a spider monkey, it's something like that, where she just loves to be cuddled and whatever, but just like the objectifying of her was really hard to watch. But it also is just like the maiden in the crone, just like in your fucking face, right?
That's what I mean. So why is it always them? And so what doesn't surprise me is that it's him that had the revelation and got another woman in their marriage to play a role that he needed. So the thing is that when we see,
he says that very clearly. He says, I have these arrows. That's
he believes his own bullshit.
Sure.
Like I am super sure of it.
Yeah.
So, but how come it's not her? Like how come it's not her who had the vision? Never. It's never her.
She actually had one vision, Vailana.
To bring another dude?
No. It was actually she in another ceremony saw a part of herself that just really wanted to be in love with one person and have them completely wholly choose her. So this side of herself, and realized that she was either betraying or sacrificing herself to be part of this. Even if it could be this new evolution of love and something incredible for all of them and whatever, there is this part of herself that wants that.
Yeah.
And wants that kind of safety and doesn't want to have to share and all of this. So that was really interesting. The thing that I think is the issue for me is the fact that they had to be so public about it. Also, they're trying to promote 2 books.
They're making money out of it. Yeah, of course. It's their deal. Yeah.
They haven't been talking about this for a year, and they've been on other podcasts where they've been talking about their divine love between the 2 of them. So that's crazy. But also, it just feels like it's the patriarchy masquerading as spirituality.
Yeah.
And no matter what, Aubrey is the dominant person in it. He is the man that has the money. He has the control. Yes. And then you've got these 2 women who are playing different roles, which again represent the main archetypes that women have to play in life. And then you've got this like religious dogma doctor basically saying this is all good.
Well,
and so for me, that's like fucking society.
Well, it is the fact that it's enabled by drugs, psychedelics in this case, is that, psychedelics can be, I guess, awesome for some things. So, but what they basically do is that they unlock your own inner thoughts and they unlock your own inner desires. So the fact that he probably had that vision with ISIS, not the terrorist group, it's true because that's what he wanted.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think it would feel more pure.
It's subconscious.
If the story was like, we've been having this really a good time exploring these things with each other, but I am actually starting to develop deeper feelings for this other woman and would like to figure out.
Well, that would be honest. That would be honest and braver. Yeah, exactly. Because the fact that you make a decision so important in your life to impregnate another woman and you kind of blame it in a divine being, ISIS, it's so coward.
It's so coward. And especially because he's like, I heard this voice. I was in the ISIS temple, so I thought it was ISIS, but it could have been something else. It's like, dude, like the spiritual bypassing is so much. And if you actually like watch it, like the fucking new age spiritual language that they're using is just so frustrating. The way they're talking about channeling and all this stuff. It's like, look, you are in a 3-way relationship with 2 women that you deeply care about, and you're really trying to make it figure out. Okay. But it doesn't have to have all of this fucking mystique around it. It could just be that,
Yeah, and but it's. I think. How would they make money?
I know. So
you need the magic over it. You need to call it names. You need to brand it.
Yeah.
I'm sure like they have their books with their own brands and their own names and their own things. Like this is super unique to us, and you need to follow us so you get the same. And you're as good as us. This is like a fucking cult.
But the thing that I've been watching is the responses to this video from men and women.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the men are like, Aubrey's just a narcissist. He's, just playing out his whole thing about being a god because he's done so many drugs that he thinks he is. And I'm like, yeah, that definitely has some truth.
Well, yeah.
And then the women who are basically saying along the lines of like how heartbroken they are, because these two people were representing like a sacred union, and now that has kind of just been ripped apart for them in a world where I think like the amount of choice that people have and just like the lack of attention that we have, or the ability to like bypass so quickly the work that we need to do to like really truly stay in a relationship and commit to it and actually have radical monogamy, which actually has a different definition that was written by someone else, which is really about having a certain level of ability to really do the work with one person and commit to
the definition of the word monogamy doesn't include other people.
No.
For starters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's all just really crazy. And it's shaking up people.
Yeah, you need to go.
But
yeah, it's just the fact that when you're so deep into the dogma and the things that you believe, what you make yourself believe them, and you truly believe them, is that you stop questioning everything else. So no wonder they have their heart broken.
And the thing that I think people are really worried about, at least the women are really worried about, is that because this guy is such a public figure and this relationship has been so public, like these two people, that this is now going to influence people to think about this is the actual evolution of love.
Well, that's the different versions of the same bro culture. Sorry, but that's what I think. So there's like a notion of distance between this guy and the Tate brothers, I'm sure. But basically, the amount of influence, especially over young men, is
huge.
Because they are lost, because they are looking for some purpose, because they are not successful with women, so they are basically enabling them to think in a certain way to maintain the patriarchy.
Yeah, exactly.
And these guys using, like religion, spirituality, or whatever, and the Tate brothers are using, like brute force and misogynistic shit, and like all of them are using different tools.
But it's all the fucking
end game. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the problem, is like, he's been like, I worship the divine feminine, my wife, and like, absolutely fucking not with this story. That's how I feel.
Well, it's actually, I think, even more infuriating, because the spirituality in that sense of the divine feminine and things has always, belonged to women.
I know.
But,
and the way that it has always been taken over,
it's fucking our territory,
appropriated by men.
Exactly.
And that's where we're gonna have to end it.
And I don't mean, so the problem is that when these guys become gurus, they have these legions of people following them that they don't question a word they say.
I know.
And it's like, it's the other way around. Like, if Andrew asks you, can't you just like think for a moment that this is possible? Just reverse the question.
Yeah.
Like, can't you think for a moment it's not?
I know. Exactly. I love that. Okay.